Please go to the diary room.
Every single season and learn everything that there is to know about everybody.
Please make your way to the diary
celebrity, Brandon. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Diary Room, another very special episode coming at you today. Of course, I am Matt. I'm here with Aman. Aman, how's it going?
I am fantastic. Y'all know I'm excited. Y'all know I am excited. For those of you that are watching, for those of you that are just listening and read the title of this episode, y'all know I'm excited. So I'm just ready to get into it, baby. I'm so happy to be here today.
Yes, as we both are. I will turn to you and let you introduce our guest here today.
So for a long time, Big Brother has never really given me someone that, like, as a winner, not as as a favorite house guest, but as a winner that I really, really, really just went up for on finale night. And that all stopped during Big Brother 19 when Josh Martinez became the winner of Big Brother 19. It was like such a crazy, crazy topsy-turvy season with the best ending possible. And so I am super excited to announce our guest here today, Mr. Josh Martinez. Thank you so much for being here today with us.
Dude, first of all, listen, you know this, I'm one of your biggest fans, so I'm honored to be here. Matt, it is really cool to meet you too, buddy. But I am Aman's biggest hype man, dude. I've been following you since I've gotten out this season. You've always been so supportive and kind to me and always so good to me, so thank you guys for having me. Also, that intro is so fucking sick. Props to whoever edited and created that.
Yeah.
Really cool intro. But yeah, no, dude, I'm excited to chop it up with you guys. And like I said, I'm a fan of you, fan of the podcast. So thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Can't believe you're here. Really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. Josh, Aman, I'm glad you and Aman have the connection that you do. I'm the one that's been keeping it up with you for the entire length of your recent reality TV, run over on the challenge. So I know every step of the way of what's been going on lately. So between the two of us, we have all angles covered here.
Yeah, I am not much of a challenge person, so I don't really know much about your days on the challenge, but I do know that they are very Josh.
Right. very Josh. That's a good way to put it.
but the fun part here is
brand.
The fun part, like you were saying, Josh, is that you're going to get a chance to talk some Big Brother, which is you've definitely been leaning more into the challenge lately as far as what you've been showing up on and talking about. So this should be fun.
Nice. Yeah, no, I'm excited, dude. You guys know I'm a huge BB fan, so I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, I think we've probably talked at least on 10 different episodes so far about how much we wish you were on All Stars and, praising everything on reindeer games and whatnot. So, it's been well covered here. You're already through to the next round. I'm not sure if that came across your plate at all, but you have advanced to round 2. So
no, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Let me go, dude.
Yeah.
You were a few episodes ago. You who was the matchup against? You remember?
Big Brother 8 Amber.
Yeah, you went up against Wamber, and obviously you went through.
Okay, good.
So
good matchup for me.
Yeah.
Keep it like that.
How far would you say you would hope or expect to go into this tournament?
I hope to win the whole thing.
Okay.
Can we rig it for me?
I could talk to someone about it.
Mm-hmm. Matt's been rigging.
I know a guy.
Yeah. You want to hear who else from your season has gone through and not gone through?
Yeah.
All right. So we've had a good amount of BB19 come up so far. The two people that have not gone through to the next round are Jillian and Kevin.
Oh, okay. Wow,
lost their matchups.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Surprised about Kevin.
Yeah. Kevin lost to Nicole Anthony.
Ooh.
Yeah, that one was kind of hard. That was hard. But
wow, that's a shocker. Wow.
Yeah, we just felt like Nicole, I mean, at least during her first showing, because we all know how Big Brother 22 worked out.
Yeah.
But we just felt like she just had a bit of a stronger game than Kevin's, but fairly similar in a way if you think about it.
And then the people that have advanced, honestly, I would be surprised if I think most people might be surprised with the amount of people that have advanced from a season where I think most people agree that the top two players of the season, you and Paul were the two best players in the season. So a lot of other people on your cast advancing, as high as the number is, might surprise some people. But let me tell you the names here. We
Okay.
have Jessica,
Yeah.
Mark, Jason, Raven, and yourself
Wow.
already.
Raven.
Raven.
I mean, even when you guys say those names all together, my season was absolutely chaotic. Like, I don't think there's been a season with such off the wall, batshit crazy people in a house. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
That dynamic was fucking wild.
Y'all were cutting up
That group was wild.
every week, every day.
Man.
And I mean, it's
Entertaining to say the least. I could say that.
it's insane, especially for you, Josh, for you who started out on a show banging pots and pans and like creating this character. I mean, look, I know you were being yourself, but the way that you started on reality television to where you are now, where you're regarded, I'm speaking for the challenge world, as one of the best social players in the challenge. It's crazy how far you've come.
Thanks. Dude, it's been a journey. It's been a journey to say the least. But yeah, it's wild. I really didn't think that I was going to become a reality person or reality star, whatever you want to call it. Like, I didn't think after my season of Big Brother was going to be an opportunity. I mean, it really wasn't. Like, I think at that point, Natalie and Polly or whoever were the first crossovers, I don't think that had happened yet either. So there really wasn't. It was kind of like, oh, you do Amazing Race and that's it. But I got off of that show and I was like, all right, I'm going to invest. I'm going to be smart about it and try to make something of it. But dude, here we are 7 years later and it's been a run, and I feel like I'm just getting started, which is the craziest part of it all. I feel like my birthday's actually tomorrow. I'm turning 31. I started this show when I was 22, 23. So it's just crazy that I've had the run that I've had.
Yeah, it's definitely been amazing to watch, because you're right. I think like right around 19, 20, 21, that's when CBS really started to invade over at MTV, and now that they're all under, Paramount / Viacom, whatever it is, that's just become the norm. So you really got in like at the perfect time to be able to.
I really did
extend
that
a career.
was perfect.
Yeah, and regardless of not ending up on All Stars, obviously Reindeer Games comes along, which as of the time of now we're recording, removed from Paramount Plus. I don't know who's making decisions over there.
Wild. Who is making that call?
I don't know. USA too, and Reindeer Games
was some of the best modern day Big Brother I've seen and I've witnessed and I lived. So I'm really disappointed in that, and that it didn't come back was a huge blow. But
yeah, there was I guess it was around Christmas time, maybe a bunch of, I don't know if you were involved in this, a bunch of cast members, and I feel like Sharon was posting stuff about Reindeer Games. I was like, do you guys know something that we don't know? But it didn't seem like it turned into anything.
I think I think there was like a bit of an interview with Rich and Allison, and they were like, because I know as far as like Big Brother Celebrity 4 is concerned, they're like, we would love to see it come back. It'll come back. And I think they were kind of alluding. They were like, it's not off the table that Reindeer Games doesn't come back. But, I'm good with it not being here. I think that Reindeer Games should be something that is like once every other year or once every 3 years, just because you want to be able to build up enough more people to cast on the show. Not just, because it creates more of like a tapestry of characters if there's more to choose from. So, I love Christmas. That's my prime time of year, but I'm all right. Waiting another year for Reindeer Games.
Yeah, but Josh, I feel like it's very apparent to anybody who's been following you, whether on or off the show, just your love of Big Brother. Anytime that you get the call to pop back in that house for whether it's to compete on Reindeer Games or just to show up for a competition or something, you're always down. And that level of fandom from a player, from a winner themselves is always evident. So, it's always
thanks, man. Dude, no, I love, and this is the thing, I don't compare Big Brother to any other experience, because Big Brother is like my first child, if you want to say. It's just, I grew up being an absolute fan of the show. I was just obsessed with the show. I never in a million years thought that I would end up, and to kind of make the mark that I've made and have the opportunity, Rich and Allison, they know, all you got to do is call me. Call me 2 weeks before we got to go, and I'm in. I will drop anything. I will drop any. If Big Brother called me now, I would drop any project lined up, just because that's home, And I'm very grateful for what they've done for my life and for how it's changed the course of my life and the career they've kind of given me. So, I'm always game to play, and no, I love the show, dude. So.
And that's what's so and I've talked about it on the podcast or on Twitter over the years. Like that's what was so for me, just like so intoxicating about watching you win. It's just that I just love it when there are people that you can just tell that they are putting everything that they have into it. It might not always be pretty. It might get a little messy, but you were always yourself. You were always just putting it all out there in the house. So I love watching people.
100%. And dude, I can honestly say, like, throughout the years, it's, oh, Josh is one of the worst winners and he's not the best and his strategy sucked. And it was like, I went in there with one goal. I was 22, broke out of college, and the one goal was to win. I didn't give a shit how I was going to make that happen. I wasn't trying to go in there and be the next Derek or the next Dr. Will. I'm like, I'm going to be myself and I'm going to do whatever. I will take on this whole house, but I'm going to sit in those final chairs and I'm going to do whatever it takes. And that's what I did. Now, if I played again, would I play a way more strategic, a way more level-headed game? I would love for the fans to see that side of me now. But yeah, back then I was just like, I just need the money and I'm willing to cross or go against whoever, you know? So
I love that.
Because,
it makes for great TV, but yeah, I think the gamer in me definitely wants to play a way more, I don't know, logical, if you want to say, level-headed game if I do play again.
And that's fair, but like we definitely can see the signs of it from 19. Like as you get to the finale, you give your final pleas. There's like a whole segment that airs during the finale before the votes are read, telling Paul about your goodbye messages. That is like, you guys think that this was just some guy being goofy in the house, banging pots and pans. There was a lot more strategic, thought going on behind the scenes. And when that gets played on like full display, you're like, oh my God, like this was there the whole time.
Yeah, no, I knew that I had to, because dude, people were so under this guy's spell. And I'll be honest with you, for the first half of the game, I was too, but I realized there was no convincing anybody else. Like there was no, if I would have flipped on Paul, I would have gone out in final, like top 5 or whatever. He would have turned everybody against me. He had Kevin, Christmas, Alex, all of them in her pocket. So I was like, I need to do something. I'm glad you brought up my goodbyes, because I feel like till this day people use that shit and I don't get the credit I deserve. So
no, that is what won you the game.
Yeah, and it's not even like podcasters or anything like that after the season have come up with like remembering that the show in the finale brought it up to flag it up. So
thanks for the producers for that.
Crazy season there. I mean, do you ever like revisit it at all in any kind of like looking back on it, showing it to people, or is it just in your memories?
I really don't. And I'll be honest with you, I never really watched back my full season. I've watched back the finale a couple times and like my first episode, but I don't really watch back the season. I don't. I feel like I'm just a completely different person than I was on that show. Yeah. And for so long, I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of glad I didn't do All Stars. Yeah. I'm so happy I didn't. I'm generally, now I can say I'm so happy I didn't do All Stars, because when they came to my house to film for us to go, like they wanted the character that I was on season 19. And I was like, I'm just not that person anymore. So like, even watching it back, I was putting on so hard in the beginning, or I was like I like played into the whole pots and pans and the whole, once I saw that it became a thing with the producers and they would kind of like egg it on, I ran with it, but I was like, that's just not who I am. You know, so I don't know, even watching it a little bit, I'm like, damn, I was a fucking nutcase. I mean, I'm still a nutcase, don't get me wrong. I'm still an emotional mess, but I've grown a lot since then. And yeah, I really don't want like to watch myself back on any shows that I do, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely it's a rough ride.
Dude, I lived it. I know what I went through. I experienced it. I'm good. I'm on to the next. I'm fucking...
Well, speaking of on to the next, I do have to ask for any challenge fans out there that may be listening. I don't know if you've answered this in other places before, but do you have any picks that come to the top of your mind of people you've played with on the challenge that you would love to see enter the Big Brother house?
Oh my God, yeah. I think people that would thrive. I think there's a few people that I think would do really well. I think Cara, I think Tori, I think Anissa, all those girls would do great. I think Johnny would not do as great, but I think Johnny would be so entertaining in there. I don't know. I would love to see. I feel like they're at the level where they can play a celebrity season. Like I feel like they should be able to play at that level or like compete with that type of group of people. But yeah, there's so many people just socially that would do well on Big Brother, you know, because it is just a huge social game, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that the ones I named would do pretty good, but we'll see.
It is interesting, you know, seeing
At this
some
point,
of
they
these
give us
players.
so much shit that I don't even want them on our show.
Yeah.
Like,
For
no.
sure. I mean, look, I don't want to get too deep into it, but you know,
Yeah.
some players that go on to other shows and lose jury votes, and you know, it's like, well, this is a social game and other
Yeah.
arenas, so you know,
Mhm.
Yeah, dude.
so that's the thing. All right, well, Aman, any final questions before we get to this wheel and pull some players for today?
No, I don't think so. I'm just I'm excited to talk some BB with Josh and pick his brain on some of these players that we've got. So
I gotta say,
Ooh,
I would
let's
love
do
for
it.
19 to come up, but Josh gave us almost a full wheel. You know, Josh is such a super fan. He's like, yeah, anybody, give me anybody. I'm like, well, I guess maybe
Surprise
19 will come up. So,
we'll see
Surprise
what
me.
happens.
all right. With that all said, let's pull up this wheel, and we're gonna pull 6 players today with Josh, and
God,
send
man.
3 through to the next round. And as always, we have plenty of notes to remind ourselves if there's anybody that we forget. So let's do this thing.
Here we go. Let it
man.
rip. Yeah,
Oh,
this is a
man, this is
thick ass
exciting.
wheel.
Yeah, we got BB Cam, we got Celeb, we got regular BBUS. So
I'm
we
really
could
excited about
be
that.
all
We could
over
go
the place here.
international too if you want to.
I think we might be. Ryan Hart going to
Is
the Big
that
Brother 10 well.
BB10?
Yeah, BB10 first boot.
I remember.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, Josh,
Okay.
we're putting you to the test right away.
Oh God, this is a good one. Okay.
Well, Aman's gonna pull up some notes about Brian to remind us, but why don't you just tell us right off the bat your memories or thoughts about Big Brother 10? Is it your favorite season like it is a lot of fans?
So it's not my favorite season, but it's such a great fucking season.
Mm-hmm.
What a good season. Sorry if I'm cursing too much, but
No,
what
you're
a good. I mean, it was kind of like, I'm going to get so much shit for this. I'm going to get so much shit for this, but I'm going to say it. I think why season 19 was so memorable is because of the chaotic characters that were in there. And I think that's what, same thing with season 10. I'm not comparing the two seasons, but I'm like, the characters that were in there were so off the wall crazy, but they like it was such a crazy, they really killed it with the casting. And I think that's why it was so good. Because like, yeah, Dan winning is great, but like, was he like, I mean, he was kind of wallpaper. I'm sorry. Like, he really was until the end. He didn't.
He's not a
much.
flashy player at all.
He's not at all. And I
not
think
until 14.
I'll be honest.
Then
with
he
you,
becomes flashy.
I don't mind saying it. I hate players like that. I hate players like that. Like, I think for me, like, if I had to say, like, some of my favorite players that have won are like Rachel Riley and Dr. Will, because they were characters, they were personalities. They kept me entertained.
That is your wheelhouse there.
Right now, I'm getting chills, but they kept me entertained. Like, Dan didn't do anything. I mean, he won. Great, but I mean, with that being said, I can't remember Brian Hart. I'm gonna be honest with you.
No, we got notes for you. We'll
all right.
I don't have much. Sorry, Brian.
I mean, he's the first boot. I mean, it's not, you know.
I know. He
all right.
was, I feel like he was a threat to go on and like kind of win it. But
yes, that's along the lines. Aman, what do we have in the notes from BB Wiki?
Brian made an alliance with Dan and Ollie. After Jerry won HOH, pursued him to nominate Rennie and Jesse for eviction due to an argument the night prior. Everything seemed to be going well for Brian until Jesse won the POV and he tried to target Memphis, and Memphis found out. Since Brian had made a lot of deals, everyone started to catch on to him and managed to push Jerry to backdoor Brian. Brian became the first house guest evicted in a 9-1 vote, with his main ally Dan being the only vote to keep him. Brian was later eligible to return to BB11, where the Brains were the first to lose, and Brian was sent home. I forgot about that little part there.
Yeah, no, the impact this man made on his 9 days in the house was enough for him to get the call for BB11 to possibly come back.
Crazy. Now, like, okay, honestly, once I saw his face, I was like, all right,
there we go.
But yeah, I feel like he was lined up to be like the mastermind of the season. I feel like he was playing a good game, but he played way too hard, way too fast. Way too hard, way too fast. So I don't know, but he's definitely somebody that had so much potential that I could see why they brought him back. But to flop like that 2 times in a row, it's kind of fucking, that sucks.
Well,
he was just
at least the second time wasn't his fault.
Yeah, that's true.
Just a little too overconfident, I think. I remember a lot of his DRs were there. It was a lot of hubris, just a lot of like, oh, I'm set up to go. You know, we got this whole ball rolling. And then when you have the whole house go up to Jerry's HOH room to be like, get him out of here, then you know that you have seriously overplayed. The conversations that you are having with everyone are getting passed along to everybody else. There's just no elegance to the game that he's playing. It's like a lot of talking, but no like tact. So yeah.
Josh, can you speak to this at all as far as, you know, your season's first boot? Cameron obviously goes out in a different way, but based on, is it somewhat of a similar kind of mindset of like, we think this guy's too big of a threat?
I wouldn't compare Cameron to Brian. I would compare Cody to Brian for my season, Cody Nixon, just because I think this is what happens. This is what happens, and you see it every single season. People get in there, and I think it's like I'm on TV. I won a couple challenges or competitions, and you get big-headed. You get a big ego, and you think you're running the game. And I think that's probably what Brian seems like. You know, he had it all together. He had all the numbers. He had the alliance. And he got it, you know, you get cocky with it. And I think that's a mistake that a lot of people do early on. It's like, you cannot predict this game. You cannot predict, you know, how it's all going to play out. But the one thing you could do is kind of just check your ego, right? Check your ego and put yourself in check. Also, taking the back seat sometimes, it's not bad. It worked for Dan that season. You know? I mean, Dan was just sitting back and letting it all unfold, and everybody was making a target on themselves. And it's like, sometimes you just got to take a back seat and check your ego at the door and kind of chill and take a step back. But I don't know. Some people get big-headed, get overconfident, you know.
And in a way, sorry, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I think that Brian and Cody is not the worst comparison. I'm just thinking in like a way that maybe people wouldn't expect in that comparison of just at least when Brian was, you know, had his feet to the fire, you see him do like that whole puppet show to try to win favor back with people. And Cody, at least like on the edited show on 19, is doing this whole like, I'm trying to be more social and ask Christmas about her personal life, but I don't really care about it. So there's like a little bit of something there.
I think I don't know. I think it's just with the reason I compared those two was because I think Cody saw a clear run to the end too soon. He thought he had a big alliance. He had his girl, and he kind of just like got a little big-headed. And obviously, some things don't make the edit, but that's just how it felt in there, and that's why a lot of us turned. That's why I turned pretty quick. But I think with the Cameron, just because they were first boots, I think Cameron just didn't socially connect with people. I think he just didn't vibe with a lot of people in there, and I think that's why he went. But Brian, I think that he just intimidated. I think he, like I said, he played way too aggressive, way too soon. So,
you know, in a way, I wonder if had this Brian mess not happened in week 1, I wonder how different Dan's game actually ends up being, because he was like, that was his number 1 ally at the time. And obviously Dan was already sort of like taking a back seat between the two of them, but he was in a bit of hot water after Brian left. And so that really is what forced him to sort of like sit down. And I wonder if Brian were successful in sort of running the house from the get-go, I don't know if we see Dan win this game.
How does Brian interact with Memphis later into the game when Memphis is going to become Dan's guy? Yeah, it would have been interesting. But Brian a little too cocky, a little too confident in that first week, really feeling like he was running Jerry's HOH week until everybody comes running up to Jerry's room and basically demanding Brian goes up, and Jerry has to do it at that point. Brian's
bullied that old man. That was crazy.
They did.
Can't bully Jerry.
Yeah, and they did what they needed to do to get Brian up and out of there. And you look again, 9 days, but he made an impression enough to get the call to come back for Big Brother 11. And if a competition had gone a little bit differently, we'd be talking about Brian Hart, the 2-time player, instead of Jesse Goddard's. So
that is true.
But let's find Brian Hart an opponent and see if Brian's going to go through to the next round or insert player here. Is better.
Is it gonna be?
Guys, I love it.
It's so random. You just never
It's like
know.
an elimination. It's only one can survive.
Yeah.
Up next, Ross Matthews.
Ross Matthews. Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Right. Wow. So Josh, you know the celebrity seasons.
100%. Yeah. Well, Ross was right after my season, so I was able to meet them, and we fucking big fans of Ross. Sorry, Brian, you're out. I mean, Ross had one of the best games on a celebrity edition, I think.
Well,
You know,
It's a very interesting conversation to have you here for this one, because Ross is somebody who, much like the person who you sat next to in the final two, played a strong game, thought they were going to have the votes and didn't.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just what it was like. They mirrored season 19.
It was.
They were in y'all house. Yeah.
It was the craziest thing, but I was actually at their finale, and I was able to meet them after. And I remember seeing Ross, and obviously he was a little bitter and he didn't understand. But I remember running into Marissa. And Marissa, I don't know if she's ever said this publicly, but she literally was like, "Oh, I kind of copied your game. Like, I knew what Ross was doing, and I knew that he was playing this massive social game, and I kind of just took the step back, and I kind of just like, you know, took a step from you. Like, they all watched our season right before going in, so they knew that they were doing celebrity, so they all watched season 19. And she told me that. I was like, I mean, it worked out.
Yeah,
you know, so I'm like, I mean, it worked out for you too. So, but yeah, I think Ross's game was awesome to watch. Big fan of Ross. Watching this season, I was a huge fan of Ross, and he's somebody that I would love to see play again. I really would.
I think
I don't
that
know,
he would.
Celebrity, I don't know, but I would love to see him play again.
He would die to get back in that house because there's footage of him at the premiere of Big Brother 1. Like he's in these streets like the rest of us. But I'll read his blurb just for the sake of it.
Yes.
Ross, an active player. Ross formed several relationships, made numerous double deals, took out big targets such as Shannon, Omarosa, Brandy, and James, and won several comps. When his closest ally Marissa won the final HOH, she brought him to the final two, where his deceitful gameplay and inability to own his lies caused him to finish second to Marissa in a 6-3 vote, although he did win AFP over Shannon and James.
Yeah, it's no denying that Ross was the strongest player of that cast in the way of like getting to the end of the game. But this is really, at this time, it's very funny again that Ross is coming up with Josh here. You know, whether it's Paul, whether it's Ross, whether it's Tyler a season later, where we're really finding out how the modern day juries were going to be voting, and you know how this type of gameplay of getting to the end by whatever means and doing, you know, a lot of good work to get yourself there is great and all, but there's another thing that you need to click into in your game in order to get those
your
votes.
game. Own your game, dude. Give the people that you voted out credit. Just own your game. Just literally just say, yeah, I had to get you out. You were good. You were a threat. I lied. I cheated. I stealed. I did everything that I had to do, but it got me here. But own it. And I think that that's where they missed it. I think if any of them would have sat there and just kind of owned their moves, they would have easily won. I would have given them my vote, you know?
I think sorry, continue.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I do think that Ross is like that season in particular is interesting to me in terms of like the jury management conversation, because yes, we see it with Paul, yes, we see it with Tyler, but I do think like as far as like the celebrity is concerned, because of the fact that they were allowed to go home,
that's
and watch the season, and I feel like there's like this. The fact that, I mean, some of them were fans of the show, obviously, Shannon, Elizabeth, Ross. Some of them like knew what the show was. They know what types of games win, what types of strategies work, what types of gameplay is rewarded by fans, by fellow housemates, whatever. But I do think that there's a lot of people in there that were just kind of there just because, you know, it's like, oh, you know, yeah, I'll go on Celebrity Big Brother. You guys think I'm a big enough celebrity to go on Celebrity Big Brother? Yeah, I'll go on Celebrity Big Brother. And they got into like this, oh, well, I want to reward someone that's honest and someone that played it. Like, it's like very old school mentality of like these social games where you want everybody to like be honest. It's like, that's not what Big Brother is. And I just think that a lot of them like fail to understand that. And I don't necessarily know if Ross, I mean, did he own all of his moves? No. Should he have? Yes. But I also don't necessarily know if he had owned his moves, would he still have been able to convince a few of them to vote for him? I don't know, because a lot of them seem like they were just like, it was foregone. They were like,
dude,
no, I'm giving it to Marissa.
Like I said, I was at their finale, and the vibe that I got from a couple people when I was talking to them, and it was funny because me and Paul were both at the finale, and the vibe that I got, I mean, I don't want to name names, but a lot of them were a bit bitter and just hurt, and they were like a little like, they felt some type of way towards Ross specifically. So it was, I think it's what you say. It's also how you make people feel, dude. Like, there's a way of going about it that like you know, you can't forget that at the end of the day, I get the game and the strategy and all that, but these are people, bro. They have feelings. Like, you know, they don't want to be embarrassed on national television. On top of that, you like gaming the shit out of them. So there's a way to go about it, I feel. And I just feel like I remember Shannon, she was really bitter, dude. She was very hung up.
Oh, we knew
I was
she
like,
was bitter.
yeah, I was like, damn.
But that's
Shannon was a sweetheart. Meeting her, she was so kind. But I remember like, yeah, a lot of them were a little still pressed with Ross. So,
and as you obviously know, Josh, like with a lot of the people that were on your jury that were bitter towards,
yeah,
mostly, you know, if they were bitter towards Paul,
Bitter party of 9. Your table is ready.
they don't tend to arrive there on their own, you know, or they don't tend to arrive there really completely unjustified. You know, they are sent out the door feeling that way by someone in particular that could have done a better job, you know, on the way out, whether it's through a goodbye
100%.
message or, you know, in the house. So, you know, it's not just Shannon, it's Omarosa as well, that are, you know, the two biggest fans besides Ross in that game that both vote for Marissa instead of Ross. So, you know, when you talk about respecting gameplay, both of those two players knew what gameplay is supposed to look like, and they still said, you know, Ross did not seem like he wanted our vote well enough. With that all said, we're still talking about a guy who still played some pretty good Big Brother. He wasn't able to get the jury votes. Whoop. You hear us?
Yep, I hear you now.
All right. Yeah, so he was not able to get the jury votes, but he still played some pretty strong Big Brother. And, you know, all that said, Josh did sound like he was leaning towards Ross over Brian.
Ross.
Yes, I will also go ahead and vote to evict Brian again.
Okay.
Sorry, Brian.
Yeah. I think, we'll do a 3-0 vote there. I don't know if Ross goes super far deep into this thing, but he could definitely win some more matchups along the way. Just because, you know, when we get down to the greats of the game, you're going to get to a lot of people who just did do that management better, even if they didn't win the game.
And quite frankly, just played longer. He played for what, 2.5 weeks. Everyone else played, you know, much longer.
But you know, Brian Hart, a guy with a lot of potential, but unfortunately, even here on the Dire Room, it's not going to be seen through. So it is what it is. All right, let's get back to the wheel to kick off
this wheel. I love this wheel.
We could just keep spinning all day. Yeah. All right, up next is going to be, looks like BB14. Yeah, BB14, Shane. Our final fourth place evictee of Big Brother 14, thanks to, as we were talking about earlier, one Dan Giesling.
Yep.
Aman, you were talking about the flashy gameplay.
Okay, so I'll be honest with you. I really did like Shane.
Yeah.
But the way he went out has to be one of the most iconic Big Brother moments ever. Like, the way Dan pulled that off was just, in that moment, I think it cemented Dan as one of the greats, I feel, personally. I remember being a kid, 14 was actually the season that I had watched a couple seasons, but 14 is where I really geeked out and I was like, okay, I fucking love this show. And I think it was primarily because of Ian. But yeah, Shane's exit till this day, it's like I remember watching it back and I was like, oh my God. You know, it's like it felt like they murdered somebody. I was like, holy shit. Even my brothers and my family that never watched the show before, and they went back and watched seasons while I was on my season. This is one of their favorite moments, Shane's exit.
Just gotta say, his outfit here is putting me in a time and a place.
Yeah, it threw me back. It literally threw me back to my parents' house on their sofa watching this.
Oh God.
I don't know, Shane. I mean, he was such a likable dude, right? But
yeah, he was. I don't think that he really fit like the archetype that we've come to know. You know, the muscular guy that tends to be a little bit more aggressive, tries to run the game. He really wasn't on that type of energy. As far as his blurb is concerned, it says Shane proved himself to be a comp threat, winning 2 HOHs and 4 POVs. He was a member of the dominant Quack Pack Alliance. He shared a strong bond with former coach Brittany and a showman's with Danielle. At the final 4, while Shane was initially safe, Dan tricked Danielle into saving Dan by using the POV on him. Minutes after being saved from the block, Dan promptly betrayed her by evicting Shane.
Shane is a good player who played with Dan Giesling is kind of where I sit at in like a one sentence line. It's not just Dan, of course, he's got Brittany there and he's working with Brittany. Danielle's working with Dan. They come together along with Ian. We have the Quack Pack and we see how successful that group altogether is. And I mean, you have to imagine if something strange happens that Dan gets evicted before Brittany, let's say, and then you have Brittany at the end game with a Shane, Danielle, and Ian, all those other players, that Shane is a top contender to continue winning the competitions he was winning and go all the way to the end, probably alongside Danielle. I would imagine he probably loses to Brittany if it was him and Brittany in the final two. But if it was him and Danielle, this showmance that was obviously formed by this point in the season, Shane's probably the winner there. But you play against Dan Giesling, things happen.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that there's really anything that Shane could have done to escape the monster that was Dan's funeral, because you just don't see anything like that happen up until that point. Like, why would Shane think that he would have had to convince Danielle not to, like, it's completely out of his control. I mean, maybe you can make the argument that he should have sort of like tried to get into his showman's head and be like, no, like, we're set, we're going to final four, like, or we're going to final three, like, leave it as is, get rid of the former winner. But
what, dude?
damn.
Something. Oh my god, that's just. I mean, but you have Dan Giesling in there, and you think, I don't know, it's just so crazy to me. But it's, dude, I will say something happens to your brain when you're in there for so long, and you kind of like, I don't know, you kind of lose track of shit. And I don't know. I just think that at the caliber of the way that Dan plays, like, they were just not at his level at all, and I think production knew what they were doing, but I think that it was just like, how are you so trusting, especially at the end game like that, to trust somebody? And just, I don't know, Danielle really, what a flop.
Josh, as a winner, what can you speak to on playing the game with showmances? Obviously, like Shane was in.
I think that they can either, it depends, right? Like, if you have a connection in there like that, you can't really run away from it or whatever. But I think that, all in all, I don't think it's good for your game. I think it just puts a target on your back. Like, I know that you two are always going to vote together. Nobody's going to come between that. And you're just seen as automatic threats right off the rip. The fact that they made it so far in, obviously they were in the Quack Pack and they had strong alliances, but I'm just like, I don't know. For people going in, if you can keep it, I kind of like the way that Tyler and Angela did it on season 20, where people had their ideas, but it really wasn't out there. I think that's kind of the way to do a showmance.
Little secret showmance,
yeah, like, just keep it low key. But I don't know. I wouldn't. I mean, you can also say that because you never know, but not the best game move.
Yeah, no, I mean, in 19, once the dominoes start falling on the showmances, it's one after another, after another, after another. And, Raven somehow skips around from avoiding being all in line with the entire crop of showmances. But sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You have like a Nicole with a Corey, and Nicole goes on to still win the game. But we're still, again, talking about a showmance that was playing directly up against / with Dan Giesling, who was in pretty firm control of Danielle and her game in general, trying to coach her up, saying, I can get you to the end. And Danielle then sharing her perspective with Shane every step of the way, which was always Dan's perspective. So I think he definitely does well on another season where he's not playing with Dan, but he got stuck with Dan and he still made it to 4th place. So
yeah, he did
not
good.
that bad.
I mean, 4th is really freaking good. So
yeah,
let's give Shane his credit.
Yeah. All right. Let's find Shane an opponent here.
Let's hope it's kind to him.
I see this going either way. Again, he's a decent player, but somebody could beat him. But he also could beat a lot of people.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, the wheel just passed Paul.
Did it? Oh, I'm so pissed.
Oh my god.
Oh, okay then.
Bye, Shane.
Oh boy.
Shane, we were fucking rooting for you.
Oh boy. Tamar Braxton, for those audio only listeners here. Tamar Braxton is the latest name on the wheel here. Our winner of Celebrity Big Brother 2. Wow.
I loved her chaotic ass. I loved watching her.
I don't know
Yeah.
what Josh's wheel is very inspired for celebrity seasons today.
She gave me a run for my money.
She did. I remember us all comparing her to you when when she won. I was like, this game, her game was so chaotic and crazy and so combative, and she still was able to get that win. And
Ooh.
again, similar to you could just tell at the end, she was just, after it was all said and done, she was just so grateful to have been there because she's also a big fan of the show. Like
Yeah.
she's been a Big Brother super fan for a very long time. And I think it's kind of funny that she has like a little beef with Taylor Hale because I remember Taylor was talking about, being the first Black woman to win the show. And obviously we all knew what she meant by that. The first, Black woman to win a regular season of American Big Brother. But Tamar's just like, oh, so I guess celebrity doesn't count. I'm like,
Oh, I
Tamar,
did not know that.
you know what she's trying to say. Like, let's calm it down. But she did her thing her season. As far as her blurb says, after entering the house with her old friend turned enemy Candy, the two decided to mend fences as best as possible. Tamar used the alliance that she formed with her three bedmates, Lolo, Natalie, and Ricky, to go deep. Ricky ended up taking Tamar to the final two, where she would become the second winner of Celebrity Big Brother and the second house guest in U.S. history to receive all the jury votes to a 9-0 victory. She is also the first Black winner of the show and the first person to break the first to enter curse.
Yeah. Josh, it is a very similar story for the two of you where, anybody that's watching the entire season for a good majority of the season, you're thinking there's no way this person can win just based on the over the top antics that are presented on the show and make you think that there's no world where a jury is going to award a person banging pots and pans or a person tap dancing on Tom Green's grave as he walks out the door. You're like, how on earth could this person get the votes? And then, of course, when it ultimately ends up happening and you can look back and see everything they did along the way, the social game, she was a super fan going into that house. She knew what to do. She knew who to keep close. She knew to not let Candy go when others in her alliance wanted Candy out of there. She played a really good game, and it took people until that 9-0 vote came in to recognize that.
I think, yeah, that's the thing. Like, also, how do you not respect her journey? Like, she was extremely chaotic, obviously losing it in there, but also it's like you kind of see her, I don't want to say growth in a month or 3 weeks or whatever, but yeah, you kind of see her evolution a little bit. And that's what I loved about it. I remember watching it and I was like, oh my God, I'm entertained, but she's absolutely losing it. But I'm happy she won, dude. I'm happy she won because not only did she keep me glued to the fucking screen, but I love that she was a huge fan of the show. And just like her being, for celebrity being the first Black woman, I just think that was huge. So, big fan of Tamar over here. Big fan.
Yeah, I mean, she was always, always pretty much in a decent spot.
Always.
And
Yeah,
I think a lot of that was intentional. It wasn't like she fell into that by luck. She was continuously making moves to make sure that the people that were coming after her were gone and that she was able to maintain her crazy ass alliance all the way down to the end, and then convincing Ricky to take her to the end. That's literally the winning move right there. I just think that, again, and we learned, we had lots of discussions about it, on podcasts while the show was airing. Again, it's just people, the fandom, fans of the show in general, they just expect winners or good Big Brother players to all act the same way. And yes, a lot of the greats have similar qualities, but that doesn't discount how a winner can be packaged.
Dude,
Tamar
you
was
can't.
loud,
And I agree.
brash, like
I
it is.
agree.
It is.
It all depends. It all depends on the group. Everything depends on the group. Who you're playing, who are the 16 or 8 or 12 people that you're playing this game with. That's all. It depends, and who clicks, who doesn't, who connects, and that's really just and how you make people feel. All in all, that's what it comes down to. How do you make people feel? And yeah, it all depends on who's there. So I get it that there's this way that there's people love to see gameplays like Derek and shit like that and the strategy and all that stuff. But in all reality, like if you're just trying to win the money, then learn how to navigate, learn how to socially connect with different kind of people and learn how to navigate that group that you're in there with. And that's kind of what I do on all the shows I go into, It's like, all right,
And if you start beefing with somebody, get that beef and cook that beef, and then if it's time to reconvene, try to reconvene.
Or
Like,
send them home.
or send their
drive
ass
them
home.
crazy and send them
I
home.
mean,
Send them to jury.
Josh, were you on the season of the challenge with Lolo, or
I was.
do you have anything to speak on that experience? You share
I'm
a
actually cool. Listen, I'm actually cool with Lolo. I'm actually cool with Lolo now. I just think that, dude, filming a TV show it's so intense, bro. There's so much that goes into it. That environment can be very toxic, and that environment can be very intense, and it can bring out a lot in you. Like, the reality is, I think that reality TV is probably not for her.
Mhm.
I think that, she was really frustrated. I remember during our challenge season that she wasn't competing at the level that she's used to, and that she wasn't beating quote unquote reality stars
right.
at challenges. And I think that was eating away at her. And it was really messing with her confidence. But Lolo's a sweetheart, dude. She has a really good heart. I think that we had that big brother link once we went in, but then as the season went on, we kind of shifted, and it was a tough environment for her. I could see her struggling really bad mentally, and I'm glad that she kind of stepped away the way that she
Yep.
did. I don't know how that would have turned out, but yeah, Lolo's intense, but Lolo has a big heart, and she's a sweetheart.
Yeah, I mean, when you see the interactions with her and Tamar, they were very hot and cold on this season. And to speak to what you were saying earlier about, if you can't get over the beef with whoever you're beefing with, get them out. Tamar found a way to manage Lolo every step of the way, even when they had something going on. They came back together after all was said and done, and they were okay. And this is after they start the season with Tamar finding out Natalie and Lolo had a final two in front of her bed.
Mhm.
Tamar is laying
that.
on the bed as Natalie
I
walks in the room
remember
with Lolo
that.
saying, "So we got to think of a name for our final two." And then eventually they both look
Oh,
over. Tamar's laying in the bed and she's like, if you haven't
that
seen that
moment
scene,
was so good.
if you
And
haven't
I
seen that
love
scene of
how
Celebrity
Tamar
Big Brother
just like
2,
sat up and she's like, "You
she's
fucking
like,
idiot."
final two? Final two? Huh? And she's like, no, it's fine. I get it. It's fine. It's
And
fine.
Natalie
And like,
tries to play it off like, oh, we're just playing. We're
and
just
all the
messing with
credit
you.
to Tamar on that, because she kept it calm, kept it cool, didn't target Natalie and Lolo because of it, because she knew she was good with them. She knew there was a whole house out there full of people that she wasn't as good with. Her bedroom with the two of them, with Ricky, was an alliance that kept her all the way to the end, including Lolo, that she managed to work with Lolo all the way to the end. So like, even from day 1 or 2, whenever that happened, of course it did get a little, tough with, because that scene concludes with like the girl don't get punched in your throat. May remember.
And I know one time somebody got one more time to call me a bitch, and I'm gonna just start yanking.
So,
I want to see you do it. I want to see you do
Oh
so
my god,
it. And feet's
dude,
good.
that season was. I don't think producers ever imagined how intense and like kind of problematic that season turned out to be.
with celebrities, I mean, of all
Yeah,
people,
with
yeah,
celebrities. I don't think that they ever thought it was going to be like that.
Them feeds were
no.
cutting all the
When
time. It
when
was
Tom
like,
Green and
ooh.
Kato, especially Tom, is going back and forth with Tamar about whatever they were fighting about, and Tom's like, "It's just a game. It's not that serious." And Tamar is like yelling at him because she was also talking about like some personal things got brought into it, I think with her family and whatnot,
Yeah,
that just got mentioned, and she wasn't
yeah,
down
they
with
went
that. So
low. I remember them going a bit low sometimes. It was a
yeah,
lot.
at the end of the day, Tamar winning Big Brother was probably still remains to this day a top 10 reality TV moment for me of all time. It's just, I'm not going to be able to separate that at any point. I mean, I'll try if, later rounds come up and she's in tougher matchups, but Tamar's going to have my vote quite often around here.
Yeah, no, same. She's a great winner and
So.
memorable. Like all her moments, I remember all of her moments. I remember like she's a great reality star. She's
Yes.
great TV.
At all
So what
times.
more can you ask for?
Who is she in the storage room with when she has that like meme of her like kind of like down on the ground, like, who are you talking to? And there's like a whole picture of her
I can't remember.
having a reaction.
I
I might
Just
need to rewatch this season sooner rather than later.
Yeah, she just created memorable moments from the beginning to the end, and then won
Yeah,
a 9-0 jury vote. Like,
Yeah.
who does that? All
Yeah.
right, so 3-0. Amon, is it 3-0 from you to evict?
Yeah, sorry,
Shane?
Shane, because Shane is a good player. He's a very decent player. I think that he does well in most of his seasons, but when you're up against Tamar Braxton,
that's not a fight, dude. That's not a match.
Well, we do
Hey,
have
no,
one more
me.
matchup to get to today. And I guess we may as well just kick things off, spin the wheel, find one more player to go through alongside
Oh man,
our two advancers
let
so
it be a
far.
little. Let it get messy. Let it get messy.
I want it to be BB19 so
I
bad.
know. All right. Our next player up today is Big Brother 24, Terrence
Okay.
Higgins.
Terrence. Okay, Terrence. Okay. All right.
Hmm.
Uh,
Terrence. Okay.
Silence is so shady.
What the hell is his DJ name?
Uh, I don't know. It was something corny. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I do not remember. All right, Terrence. Terrence was always used as a pawn. He never really had true loyalties as his game became one of self-preservation. Most notably, he targeted Taylor every opportunity he got, which further put him in a bad spot since she belonged to the dominant alliance, the leftovers. After evicting Joseph and then losing his ally Kyle, Michael won the HOH and targeted him. Terrence was later evicted by a unanimous vote of 4-0. With Terrence's controversial statements against Taylor, he received a huge negative reception.
Well, this man got evicted and went right out to Julie and said, Julie said, who do you want to see follow you out the door? He said, Taylor. What?
It was crazy. It was
I'm trying my
crazy.
hardest to be nice.
We all
I'm
might
my hardest to be nice.
be
We're not
trying.
parents over here.
Look,
Man.
if we even want to start with the gameplay, you know, because that's a decent place to start where it's not even like there's a whole lot to comment on there. He had the one HOH reign, was the only time that you ever saw how he was like, you know, navigating the game as a standalone player and not really tagging along to anybody else or not really just hiding in the background. And that's the week that Joseph gets evicted, right? The double HOH week. So, you know, I guess you could say Aman, right, kind of gets manipulated there by Kyle in order to get Joseph out. And, you know, so even still with it being his
Oh,
HOH
he was
reign.
such a dud. I can't even be nice. I'm sorry. He was such a dud.
No,
What a dud and what a disappointment.
Yeah.
You know, like I remember when his cast dropped and I remember seeing him and like seeing the interviews and I was like, I was excited about him. I was like, okay, an older guy, he seems cool and all that stuff. Absolute dud. And then the way he got off of the season and was making comments too, like, what a fucking loser.
I mean,
Not a fan. I'm not a fan at all. Whoever's up against him wins. Let's just skip the sugar coating.
It was
not only
was
did he
bad.
suck at the game, but his personality sucked also. So it's an absolute. It's
it was
a no
bad.
for me.
It was bad. They really, especially like during week one, I just feel like, you know, when everyone was like just digging into Taylor for whatever reason, he
was awful.
He was right in there with them. And then when things started to die down and people were like, okay, we're doing a little bit too much now, he would still do it. It was as if that was like his only way to sort of like maintain connections with other people in the house, because he really didn't have strong alliances with anybody.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't in the leftovers. He had like a thing with Kyle. He almost had like a thing with Joseph. But outside of that, like it was, people kind of just were like just using him for votes.
I'll be honest with you guys. There's people in the Big Brother community that I wish that I never come across, and he's one of those people. Like I just never.
Yeah, I mean, I think
because it's also like at your age, you're a grown ass man.
Yeah, it was bad.
You know, how are you letting these kids kind of manipulate you? Let's just keep it game, right? Let's keep it nice.
Mhm.
Let's keep it game. How are you letting these kids manipulate you? That's one. You're grown as fuck. You're grown as hell. You know, you got some street, you got some age, you got some time. Like you cannot let that happen. So just in the game, you know, the way that they were kind of running around him, and then also just the way he treated not even Taylor, just his demeanor. I was not a fan. And that's coming from me, where I was an absolute mess on my show. But all in all, like, you know, I had a good intent and I had even my not my enemies, but even people that I had falling out with, like, you know, the people that I got into it with, they can still say that at my core, I'm a good person. Like, I don't know. I don't know the guy personally, but I didn't get that vibe from him that he was somebody that was just a nice guy.
Yeah, like you said, you want to keep it on game. It's like this man was evicted on Michael's HOH at the final 7, where there are bigger threats left in that game. A Monty, a Turner, something like that. But Michael felt better going deeper into the game with them than they did with this man, who by all means should have been a lock for like a final 4 because you think that he's such a non-threat.
Yeah.
But the fact that he gave someone like Michael nothing to work with, that he had no trust with Michael at all, where Michael didn't even feel like this could be somebody in his back pocket while he goes for a bigger target, and he is evicted in 7th place is so embarrassing. But
terrible.
Yeah, so was all of it.
His game only became interesting once the split house twist occurred, and and Kyle, and it wasn't anything to do with Terrence. It was Kyle being the one that was going to be the first to flip on Joseph, and he sort of just like tagged along with it. But that's as far as I think he really is.
Yeah,
strategically. So,
and if you want to like get the a little bit past the game, how horrible it was to watch the week that Taylor is on the block against Kyle, where Kyle is likely being evicted, unanimously for reasons. And Terrence is like out here wanting Taylor to still possibly go home instead.
Right. And then gets upset with Taylor when she doesn't give him a vote to stay. And then saying, "Oh, I want her to come in after me." Why would she vote for you? Do you know how you've been all the stuff you've been saying this whole week? Like, it's just...
that was hard to watch. That was ugh. Jesus.
On to the next one. There's not a lot of
whoever it is, they won.
I'm like, I don't even think there's anything else to bring up. It's the HOH week.
We might get somebody else that's also crazy. So let's see. Let's just hold our breath.
We can do it. We have a big wheel here with a lot of.
I don't know. This wheel is surprising. So we're gonna see what we get.
Are we ready? One last spin today.
Let's
ready.
All right. Well, for the 6th and final player of this episode, here with Josh, up against Big Brother 24's Terrence.
I wish
this feels like a great spot to get pulled in for whoever's going to come up here, and that is going to be the Big Brother 13 Saboteur, Annie.
Oh, that one. I was like, wait, who's Annie again?
I had no idea who Annie was for a split second.
This is the Saboteur.
Now I do know who Annie. Yeah.
Saboteur.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Annie. You got it.
This is what a good draw for Annie. We'll see if she ultimately finally goes through. It sounds like she's got at least one vote on the docket. Aman, do we have notes on Annie?
We do. Annie began the game as the Saboteur. Annie quickly connected and bonded with Brendan, but after Hayden became the first HOH, he nominated Brendan alongside his showmance, Rachel. After Brendan won POV, Hayden nominated Annie due to her affiliation with Brendan. Ultimately, Annie was viewed as a bigger threat than Rachel, and combined with the suspicion of her being the Saboteur, Annie was evicted by a unanimous vote of 10-0, placing 13th.
Yes, Josh, Annie is the first person who almost got between Rachel and her man, and no one comes between Rachel and her man.
For that reason alone, for that iconic line, we're going to place Annie. She's going into the second round. She's advanced.
Annie had some choice words.
She wasn't memorable at all, but I think that season was just so good.
12 is good. 12 is really
so good that it's like, all right, Annie, just for you being part of that season, we're gonna.
She had some choice words for the whole thing after when Rachel gives her the goodbye message saying, "No one comes between me and my man." She was like, "Oh, actually, your man was actually trying to be with me, and I declined. That's why you even have your man." So I like that she had a little bit of snapback to Rachel. But I think it's hard for somebody like Annie when you come into the game having to also have this extra burden of being the Saboteur, having to pull off all of these crazy antics and stuff. It's everyone is already playing their game, but that she has to play another game on top of it. So
I kind of want to do another spin. I did not like this final spin. I guess I'm just gonna have to come back on and do this again.
You will.
I love this.
In for good measure at the end, even though if it's not for a competition, we could still do that. But Annie coming in, like you said, Aman, as the saboteur, like puts her in a really tough spot. I did want to ask you, Josh, is being a big super fan, was a saboteur a twist that you were looking out for when you got in the Big Brother house? Were you thinking,
Oh my
this or
God.
any other twist, what could be in the house with me?
I'll be real with you guys. I think why I struggled so bad in the beginning was because I was a super fan, so I was overthinking everything. I was like, there's a saboteur, somebody's America's favorite, there's a twin in here. I thought I was spiraling bad, more than what you guys saw. Like I was out of whack for a good solid month until like I got my footing. I was like, all right, calm down, kid. Like, relax. But yeah, it was definitely. I mean, when you're in there, your mind just plays tricks on you. So we definitely were thinking things like that. Let alone the biggest twist was Paul the whole time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely. And I would love to play a season where there was twists like that. Like I love the saboteur twist, but yeah, and he really flopped on that one. But
she gets caught in the crossfire with Brenchel. That's not a place that you want to be at,
you don't want
especially
that
early in the
smoke.
season. Brenchel, this is their first time meeting, being established. There's a lot of emotions, I guess you could say, in the air.
Yeah.
So the HOH was Hayden, puts up Brendan and Rachel. Aman, you might have said this already. I'm just looking back at the chart. And then Brendan wins veto. Annie goes on the block next to Rachel. Like when you get evicted in a unanimous vote against who is going to become Big Brother legend, Rachel Riley, good and bad about that. Good in the fact that like, okay, well, Rachel is going to be a legend in the game and she makes her mark. So, I can't totally knock you for that, but also that's a person who generally you might say you should have a shot at staying against. All in all, I think we might be still advancing her to the next round.
Annie,
I mean,
you're moving forward, Annie.
she was an overplayer to the max. And I think that's, if we're going to give some of her negatives, I think that's definitely one of the reasons as to why she was the first to go. I mean, yes, she was attached to Brenchel, and that's a big reason. And she had to deal with being a saboteur, but she also was just she tried to do a little bit too much too fast. And that could have been exacerbated by the fact that she was a saboteur and already had more to do than the other ones did. So, but yeah.
I will say, do I think Terrence played a better game? Yes. Do I think I just like Terrence way more than I do Annie? Yes, and that's why Annie's moving forward.
Hey, we always say on this podcast that you can judge by any metric that you would like to. Okay,
I love that. Thank you.
I mean, Terrence inarguably went farther, but to say he played a better game, I don't even know if I can.
He was in the dark the whole damn time.
Yeah,
he didn't know what was going on half the time. He didn't really have any strong alliances. He was just being strung along for he lasted longer, but
this is true.
Was it a good idea for him to like go along with Kyle's plan? Sure, I guess he was being offered an alliance. He was being offered. It's kind of like Survivor when you have the merge that's about to happen and they're about to come back into the house together. That was like his chance to get in good with something with Kyle and Alyssa and go in strong, and with Turner as well. But that only happened because of Kyle. Terrence didn't have anything to do with that. So
well, all right, I take that back. I think I just want to advance Annie for giving us Rachel's iconic line that till this day everybody knows it's Rachel Riley.
No one comes between me and my man.
Let's give Rachel her flowers for being one of the most memorable, iconic players. And thanks to Annie for leaving that day.
Yes. So
shout out to you, Annie.
Josh is voting Annie through to the next round. Aman, are you what are you thinking? Annie, Terrence. Tough call.
I'm gonna go ahead and put Annie through by Terrence.
Well, happy to tell you it wouldn't have mattered because it would have been a 2-1 vote if you decided for Terrence to go through. So Annie is going to move on to the next round. We'll talk about the saboteur again someday, but I would be remiss to not bring this back up and just give Josh another spin or two.
Yes, thank God.
Oh my God!
Not officially. We're not.
Guys, I'm such a fan of this wheel. I just want to come back just to do this wheel again.
We
Josh,
we gave Taryn a couple extra spins. We can give Josh a couple extra spins just for
yeah,
fun.
we'll do it for posterity, but this
All right.
isn't going into the bracket. But
This isn't official.
Okay.
Don't put this on the documents.
Okay.
Who would come up next? We didn't get any 19.
Ooh.
Maybe
if we get
maybe it happens
19 now, I'm gonna be pissed.
I know.
So it really is random.
Totally
Yep.
random.
All
Wow.
random. All random.
And like everybody's
Bridget.
name is in there.
Everybody's name is in there based on
this is a good one.
what season the
BB18.
guest is looking to talk about. So
Oh, got it. Okay.
Big Brother 18's Bridget, the season right before.
Bridget's good.
Yeah, Bridget, she was all right. She
Yeah.
she aligned with Frank early on, which pissed off Michelle because Michelle wanted Frank all to herself. And she sort of was at odds with like Davon's side of the house, especially after the whole Frank thing. But if the two of them had like come together, and Davon even says this in the jury, she's like, we wanted the same people out. If we had just gotten together and made it happen, we could have gone a lot deeper into the game. But I feel like Bridget's, she was good. I mean,
Yeah.
Bridget feels like a player that's already come up, but she hasn't.
Well, she had that alliance with Natalie and I forget her name.
Oh,
They had like the girls. They had
the
a
Spy
girls
Girls,
alliance.
Bronte.
Spy Girls. There we go. They had the Spy
Mhm.
Girls alliance. She had Frank. Like she played a decent game. You know,
Let's do one more wheel
she's
spin.
all right. Yeah.
One more. Aman, what about this wheel?
What is this? Is this all BB19?
We're not stopping until we land BB19. Is this all BB19 for me?
Yeah!
Oh! Oh my God! Is this gonna make the cut?
Paul, is Paul gonna beat up Bridget in this not actually real matchup? That's funny.
We are gonna have to give it to Paul. Paul is one of the best players to never win, dude.
Yeah, for
He
sure.
really
That's so
is.
he played with you and he played with Bridget.
That's
So-
wild. Yeah.
What do we think about the rest of these names here on the wheel, Josh? Who do you think is seeing round two? We have Christmas, Matt, Alex, Cody, Megan. Yeah, Megan's gonna make it. Dominique, Ramses, Elena, Cameron. Any names stand out in there that you think are locks to win a matchup?
I think Alex is a good match to win. I
Mhm.
think who else do we have? Yeah, no, that's about it. Alex, I think Christmas.
Elena, maybe?
depending- No.
Elena's gonna have to have a real serve up, I think,
Yeah.
to be able to go through. But I
Yeah.
can see Christmas going through. She did
I can see
well in
Christmas,
both of her seasons.
Yeah.
Obviously Paul's probably going to go through.
Oh, well, yeah. I took out Paul because I thought we pushed them already. But yeah,
Yeah.
I can see Paul, I can see Christmas, and I can see Alex. Everybody else, Raven, just for entertainment. Raven was an absolute nutcase. Like,
Yes.
I think she's
Well-
one of the
Why we
most
put her
unhinged people to ever
Yeah.
play.
We put her through over Big Brother 4 Jack, who was probably the better player, but we just had a moment and we decided Raven was going to go through
Yeah,
to the next
good
round.
call. Good
Sometimes you got to get the characters in there. It just happens.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And-
Dude,
and Mark-
what they will never in their lives find another person like Raven.
No,
That
not.
person, I mean, that girl was something else, dude.
I mean, even the jury segments. Like, did you ever watch those jury segments and like wish you were there?
No, I did not wish I was there.
Well, not wish you were there in the jury house, but wish you were there for the conversations that were happening.
I saw clips of it and I watched it during our finale and it was an absolute shit show.
It was.
And I heard that it was just so tense in there.
It was.
Yeah, if you watch anything, then because I completely support you not revisiting and rehashing. But if you watch anything of your season, I would you can find it on YouTube. Just Google BB19 jury house phase and just watch that because that is
Raven
BB19
versus
has some of the best
Whistlenut
jury house segments of all
versus
time.
Mark versus
Raven
Matt.
had to be one of the most delusional players to ever play Big Brother. Like she truly was. Bless her soul, but Raven was lost in the Paul sauce for sure. Like I was
very
like,
lost.
damn, he really had these people. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, she was a funny one.
What a season.
What a
well,
season.
let's recall what we just did today. In the first matchup, we did send Ross Matthews, our runner-up from Celebrity Big Brother 1, to the next round. Brian Hart has been evicted from the bracket, as has been Big Brother 14's Shane, who we did give some praise to, say he was pretty good, but lost the matchup to Tamar Braxton. winner of Celebrity Big Brother 2. And then we also just said goodbye to Big Brother 24's Terrence, who lost an interesting last matchup of the day against the Saboteur, Annie, moving on to the next round. All thanks to the help of our guest today, Josh Martinez.
Got some good picks, dude. Ross and Tamar?
Yeah.
I don't know. Make sure they don't stack up against me, please, because that's
well, you're safe for a little
be
bit.
tough.
You're through to the next round. You got some time.
Yeah.
So
we're not going to be done with round 1 until like what, Matt? Like sometime like at the end of this year, maybe.
I think it's through the rest of 2025 at least. We still got round 1.
So you're good for at least the whole year.
Oh, I'm chilling.
Waiting for some opponents. Josh, thank you so much for joining us.
Dude, this was so fun. Thank you guys. And I'm definitely down to come back and spin the wheel in the future.
Yes.
So thank you.
You're a
guys.
busy guy. We got to track you down whenever you're, not doing something else. So you're booked and busy. It's a good thing.
Fingers crossed. And also, let me just put this out here because like I said, I've been a fan of Aman for the longest, but I want to see you on Big Brother. I don't know what it's going to take. I need every single person in the comments to harass this man until we finally get him to try out.
Look, it has not
would
been,
have the whole fan base rocking for you, dude.
It has not been for lack of trying. I will tell you that. I will say that I have not applied in the past couple of years. I did decide to go ahead and try again this year. We'll see what happens. I've gotten over because I used to be sort of like you when you were going out for it. Like it felt like it was everything that I ever needed in my life. And like I would not be able to like live unless I played a game of Big Brother. And a piece of me does still feel like that. But I feel like I'm in a nice place where I'm like, if I don't get it, it's fine. So which is much more healthy mentally to be. But
yeah, I
definitely still want it. I would like to play. Very much.
I agree. Yeah. I think that is a healthy mindset, but you're definitely somebody that if casting doesn't put you on, then they're not doing their job. They're not doing their job because the whole audience, the whole fan base, at this point, we're fans of you. There's players that have played that rock with you. So it's just like, Jesse, do your job and get this man on the show, please. Or I'll do it for you at this point.
Josh, will you co-host with me while Aman's on Big Brother? I'm going to need
what? You're taking over the podcast. Are you
All right. Love it. All right, Josh, people know where to find you. People know where to check you out. But anything you want to specifically mention here?
No, man. Thank you, guys. This was fun, dude. I have felt a little tapped, like a little distance from the Big Brother world.
Arena.
The arena. But this was really cool. So thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah,
thank you for being with us as your first like little toe back into the pond. Yeah.
I am excited. As I don't know exactly when this is coming out in relation to it, but I'm looking forward to seeing what you got into over on the reunion in a couple of weeks when that airs. So over for the Challenge 40 and whatever comes next for you in that world. So all good things. Very much appreciate you being here. Aman, what else we got going on?
I think that is it as far as I'm concerned. Drag Race has already started at this point, so make sure that you're checking out the podcast over there with me and Liana and Beth. And yeah, that's it for me. Anything for you, Matt?
Yeah. Of course, check out our Patreon, patreon.com// the diary room, for all of the bonus stuff that we've got going on. Very easy to find there. So please do check that out if you want more podcasts from us every month and vote for people to come back. There's always a battle back and there's some tough competition in this current battle back to get back in. So check that out. Check out the Free Agents podcast. And I think that's going to do it for now. So again, thank you, Josh, for being here. And Aman, get us out of here.
Thank you.
Yes. Our thanks to my favorite winner, Josh Martinez, once again.
Stop it.
And until next time, guys, please go to the diary room.